A very good evening to all the viewers out there. Thank you for making time and be with us on today's edition of the Evening Review. My name is Toyvon Jabela, your host tonight. We are discussing the commotion that has been happening at G4S Security Company, where employees demanded improvement in their working conditions. And with us in studio to help us dissect that issue is Michael Amushelelo. He is the Economic Affairs Commissar for the Namibia Economic Freedom Fighters. He's been at the battlefront with the workers this morning, and he's just here to share with us details on that. Sir, it's always a pleasure to have you on the platform.
Trevor, first of all, I must thank you for getting my name right.
Yeah.
I know the first two times was a
It was
bit
a
of
struggle.
a difficulty, but I'm good that you are now
getting there.
getting the hang of name.
Wonderful.
Ironically, yesterday I was looking up at the name Saddam and the meaning.
Yeah.
It actually says one who's confrontational.
Yeah.
So I was like, so names are really...
Yeah,
you take their character.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What's happening at G4S?
Man, what's happening at G4 is it's typically what's happening everywhere in the country.
Yeah.
You know, we have adopted a capitalist system. Now, a capitalist system simply means that it's the exploitation of the masses for the benefit of a few. Now, when we sort of gained our independence, before that, the ruling party was socialist per se, because they were getting their backing from Soviet Union. So we should have adopted somehow a communism type of economy or system of governance. But you know very well, in 1989, we had the collapse of the Soviet Union, and obviously with the collapse of the Soviet Union, people obviously tend to take what is now more in favor, which was now obviously the Western world of democracy, which is basically capitalism. Because where you see democracy, there is also what you have, capitalism. Yeah. Now, what is currently happening at G4S is basically, the workers are basically saying that we are tired of having our black labor producing white wealth. This is what the workers are simply saying. They are saying basically to say that if you want to use our black labor, then we must also share in the wealth that we are creating. Because remember, G4S has about 3 departments. One is the cash in transit, the other one is the guarding services, and then the other one is armed response. Now, the guys at cash in transit, they've told me to say that they get as little as 2,500 per month. Now, imagine these are the guys that transport huge amounts of cash on a daily basis, from mostly white monopoly-owned companies to white monopoly-owned banks. So these people literally know how much money they are carrying on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Now, imagine and this is the description that I want to give. They are describing themselves that they are like dogs who, you know, these hunting dogs, that they chase after the particular animal is caught, but once the animal is caught, the owner comes, he obviously takes it back to his family. He has a beautiful feast with his family, and then the poor dogs, at the end of the day, given bones. This is the situation of workers in this country. So what G4S workers simply said today is that they are going to refuse to give their labor. Because remember, I have the right to say, I don't want anymore to give you my labor. Yeah. And this is simply what the workers are saying until their demands have been met.
Then there's the element of, the company came out saying that one of the reasons they are paying people that much or that little is because they do not have the resources. How do you weigh that statement?
That's a blatant lie. How much does the managing director get? How much do the senior guys below management and all of that? If you look at the structure of the company, it's mostly white managers. And they're getting good salaries for that matter. Now, what I've also discovered is that workers are saying that when these companies sign contracts, let's say, for example, at the American embassy, where they also are guarding, they would in that contract say how much it is that they are going to pay the employee. Amounts usually range between 7.5 to 8,000 just for guarding. That's how much it's stipulated in the contract. But come end of the month, the poor worker who has to be guarding that place 12 hours a day or 12 hours a night, he's only paid about $8.75 per hour. That's their rate. Now that simply means if you work 12 hours, you're getting 105 Namibian dollars. Now 105 per day, they usually work about 20 days, so that amounts to about 2,100. Then they need to be deducted transport, then they needed to be deducted uniforms, and a bunch of other deductions that need to be done. So these guys virtually take home nothing, because how much is the cost of living here in Windhoek? Rent alone is not less than 2,000. Your food alone, just to maybe 2 shopping bags, that's already $1,000.
Yeah.
So our people are literally being exploited, and they are continually suffering at the hands of these white monopoly capital companies, because our government doesn't seem to care. Because remember, we have a Ministry of Labor.
Yeah.
And the whole reason why we have a Ministry of Labor is obviously to ensure that there's harmonious relationships between the workforce and the companies. But as a Ministry of Labor, they are first and foremost supposed to be loyal to the natural person. Because remember, companies are juristic, meaning that they are not really existent. They don't breathe like us. So who is the loyalty of the ministry supposed to lie with? It's supposed to be with the workers. But now what we're currently seeing is that, remember, earlier this year there was a landmark victory for the white monopoly capital, where the Supreme Court said that any worker that decides to go on strike, companies now have the authority to basically hire scape labor or hire labor in order for them to continue with their operations. So that basically means that workers no longer have that tool at their disposal where they can say, we are going to strike, or we are going to demonstrate, we are going to protest in order to have better working conditions, because the law itself does not favor the workers in this country. And that is the problem that we have.
Yeah. So what is the status now? You were there at the site this morning. We saw materials of you engaging people there. Have they down tools now? Is it their position that until their cries are heard that they will remain as such? What is the status?
The status is that the tools will remain down. So today is obviously just Windhoek as far as I'm concerned. But now what we're going to do is we're going to encourage others as well. Because remember, the only way for white monopoly arrogance to listen to us is when we basically unite and then say that we are going to stop work. Because remember, the only thing that they love is money. Now, obviously, they are scared of losing their multi-million-dollar contracts, because these guys have multi-million-dollar contracts. So the workers are going to remain with their tools down. Obviously, we know amongst the workers, there are some few sellouts. Just like back in the days, we always have those guys that stay in the house. Now, because obviously they've got the warmth of the house, they eat the leftovers of the master, they feel that they are obviously more important than others. For those ones, we say continue being good houseboys, good housekeepers, but one day we are going to take over this country and we are going to show equitable redistribution of wealth for everyone.
Tell me about, one of the questions that arose this morning was around your bail. You are currently out of jail on bail after similar work in your professional political life. Does your work today violate any of your bail conditions? What does it say?
Man, you know, Trevor, what we need to understand is that any regime, when they obviously face people who are vocal, they obviously want to silence us. Now, the reason why they want to silence us is because we are the voice of the voiceless. We are the guys trying to bring and give back power to the hopeless, to the powerless. So now, obviously, the regime, already last night, because we also have people in the system. Somebody called me last night in confidential and said, you know what, my brother, that planned thing that your guys are going to have tomorrow, we have been given strict instruction that the moment you show up, we must just arrest you because it will be in violations of your bail conditions. Remember, part of my bail conditions are saying that I should not attend any illegal gathering or partake in any gathering or whatsoever that is deemed illegal. But this is not a demonstration, it's not a protest. These are merely workers who have just downed their tools. I'm just a concerned Namibian citizen who just went to go and obviously give my solidarity. So now, obviously, remember the Proclamation Act of 1989 states that wherever there's a gathering of more than 20 people, a meeting or whatever the purpose is, it's already deemed illegal. So obviously the state is now going to look at me with very big lenses and say, where is this guy? Who is he meeting? Is this meeting legal? Is it? So that basically means that for any meeting that I would have to attend in my future, I must write permissions to the police to inform them that on this particular date, I'll be coming to have a gathering with workers of Namibia Media Holdings. There will be more than 20 people. Can you please give me permission? That is what it entirely means. So the current regime is using the same laws that the apartheid government used because they knew very well that there are certain laws that they needed to repeal and there are certain laws that they wanted to keep because they knew for a fact that there was going to come a generation of young people who are going to be asking the same critical questions that they were asking.
Yeah, indeed. We go for a quick break and then continue the conversation after the break. Continue the conversation on the evening review. Last week, ironically, there was another issue that you raised. That was at Omega Security Services of a man seen in a video harassing physically his female colleague. We at Namibian Sun called the office immediately after just to verify the authenticity of that video material, and they confirmed that indeed something like that happened. What do you know about that?
Man, so basically it seems to be that it's a policy that's being tolerated at that particular company. Now, the incident has been occurring since last year. That's what I've made to understand. But for some reason, when the female workers complain to their superiors, nothing is done onto this particular individual. Only when we released that particular video did the company take action of suspending those two managers, because there are two managers. So those two managers were then suspended after that particular video surfaced. The worker that was assaulted informed me that they had gone to the police station, they had gone to open a case, but unfortunately, apparently, the police are just sitting on this particular case. Perhaps when this poor woman is killed, that's the only time that they are going to react. Remember, we have a scenario or a situation in our country where people would go on a daily basis to go report incidences of abuse, but people don't take this incident serious until a headline pops up that says that a female has been killed or a male has been killed or whatever the incident is. So, but it seems to me that in the security industry, there is a lot that needs to be done to address the welfare and the plight of workers. And if we do not get footages like this, how then are these people able to voice their issues? Because remember, these people are nobodies. Nobody listens to them. They might send an anonymous SMS to a particular paper. They might write about it on their Facebook, but no one is going to pay much attention to it because they are not known or their voices are not that loud in society. So these people usually then come to me, and then, like I said, I'm just a microphone for society to speak out on issues that are affecting our people.
Yeah. You have visited so many workplaces, not only in the security industry, but across the entire spectrum, confronting issues, different issues. And I'm just wondering, how rotten is the Namibian labor space? Because there seem to be a lot of issues there.
Man, so it's rotten from the very top. Now, remember, these are multinational companies, some of them that we're dealing with. Now, what these multinational companies do is because they've got access to massive capital, they are able to bribe our officials, all the way starting from State House to the Ministry of Labor to labor inspectors, and you mention it. Now, because our people that are in key positions that are supposed to be fighting for the masses, because they are already compromised, nothing seems to be happening. Today, you can wake up and go to the Ministry of Labor, you go complain about a certain issue, there's nothing that's going to be done to that particular company. Because unfortunately, the system only seems to favor the rich, and the poor are the ones who have to suffer. So what I have observed is that we need to cleanse the whole government. Because from the Ministry of Labor to State House to the police, the whole system seems to be rotten to the core. And now the people who are suffering, it's the Namibian workers. Now, it's sad to see a situation whereby Namibians seem to be foreigners in their own country. And this is a terrible precedence that we are setting, because what we are basically saying is to say that come to Namibia, we are open for business, you can come and molest our people, you can come and violate their rights, and you can make as much profits as you want, you can ship these profits out of the country, pay our people peanuts, just make sure that you pay our envelopes. That's about it. That's how Namibia is open for business. So when we go out and we promote Namibia, I think this is the message that we're sending. And that's why we're so desperate for investors, because clearly these investors are the only ones who are able to pay our officials bribes, because us who are local guys here, we don't have third generation money, we are unable to pay these bribes to these officials. And that's why our people are going to continue to suffer.
Your party, how is the reception? I know that you joined not too long ago, but you sort of hit the ground running in terms of taking head on some of these issues, particularly those that pertain to labor. How do you think NEFF will perform in 2024?
Man, right now, Toivo, we're not worried about how we're going to perform in 2024, because the welfare of our people, their people are suffering now. People are not suffering in 2024. The suffering is now. So those who are worried about 24 must continue to worry about 24. We are worried about daily bread and butter issues. We are worried about how the economy is performing. We are worried about the welfare of workers. We are worried about the welfare of our masses who live in shanty towns. We are worried about the welfare of our children who have to walk miles of kilometers just to access a school or access a clinic or access a health facility. Those are the things that we're worried about now. Our concern is not with 2024, because your people are now dying from hunger. People are now dying from poverty. People are now dying from sickness. Yet you're worried about an election that is in 2024. So who are the people who are going to vote for you if your people are busy dying now because they are being overworked and underpaid and all these issues? So as a party, our concern is not even 2024. Those who are concerned with 2024, they must continue to be concerned with 2024. Ours is the daily issues that the Namibian people are facing on a daily basis. And that is why we are the only political party that is forever seen at the forefront confronting these issues head on. Because unfortunately, we have created a politics where we have got mediocre politicians, where we don't have real leaders. We just have politicians, people who want to politic the whole time. But these politicians are basically playing with the lives of people. What we need in this country is now leadership. Leadership to say that This is the particular direction that we want the country to go. This is the particular direction that we want to forge. And this is the vision that we have for a country. Remember, politicians are concerned about the next elections. Leaders are concerned about the next generation. And for us, it's ensuring that the next generation of workers that Namibia is going to have, they are not going to be exploited, they are not going to be misused, they are not going to be oppressed, and all of these things. So this is what we're trying to ensure. And because remember, every nation is built by the working class. And the working class remains the backbone of any country. So if our working class is constantly being oppressed, they are constantly depressed because of the low salaries that they are receiving, how are we going to have a future?
Yeah, absolutely. At a personal level, I know that you're also fighting other battles. You had your assets frozen by the state, or by state agencies rather. And on Friday, there was a judgment in court against you, where a bank brought an application for non-payment of your vehicle or something to that effect. Is it an outcome of that freezing of your assets, or is this completely independent? You are just a man.
No, this is
just
basically
a man who's not paying his bills.
No. This is basically the outcome of the freezing of my assets in 2019.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, with the freezing of those assets, and remember, those assets were taken from me. So I would not be in my right head to be paying for a vehicle that I'm unable to drive. I mean, I must be cuckoos. I'm now hungry, but I must be paying for a vehicle that is with the state, and now I must be paying for something that I'm not currently using. So I said, no, let them have it. Like I always say, Toivo, my mind is still here with me. It's the biggest asset that I have. It's the biggest asset I'll continue to have. So with my mind, I'll create again new things, and from there on, I'll be able to flourish again. So these are just vehicles. These are materialistic things. I mean, others by now would have hanged themselves because of material things, but I'm bigger than materialistic things. I understand that whatever purpose that I have is bigger than a car being auctioned. I see some have now, us blacks, we get amused by these things. So I think now that's the topic of the day, but we must be amused by real issues, and issues that basically have to say that what is it that we're going to leave for our children one day when we're not here?
Indeed. My man, always a pleasure.
Devo, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Keep on, my brother.
Sure. That was tonight's show. Thank you for watching, and have a blessed night.
Africa Good Morning is a current affairs program that brings you the latest from Southern Africa and beyond. News, economics, sport, weather, interviews, and so much more. For any advertising or news-related queries, contact AGM at synergy.com.na. Africa Good Morning, bringing Africa to you.
Take a load off and tune into another episode of Brave Namibia as we take a look at both ordinary and extraordinary Namibians. Brave Namibia is broadcasted on NTV Saturdays at 6:30 p.m. and 1up2.com, as well as broadcasted on the following Facebook platforms on Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. Republican, Allgemeine Zeitung, Namibian Sun, and all Namibia Media Holdings pages. For more information, contact the Brave team at brave@synergy.com.na. Brave Namibia, for the ordinary and extraordinary Namibians.
Ironga Talk brings you community news in the Ironga region. For news-related or advertising queries, contact irongatalk@synergy.com.na. Ironga Talk, our community, your news.